Hey there guys, it's Metro, and today we're going to be talking about the state of Blood Death Knights in the Battle for Azeroth. Current build 26175, current as of March 11th, 2018. So everything we talk about today absolutely will be changing in future Battle for Azeroth Alpha and Beta builds. If you are from the future, welcome. How's the weather? Hopefully you'll understand that things will change and be iterated upon, but this is a video on my my first impressions. A lot of people have been asking this. Typically I wouldn't find this a very useful video to make, but I do want to kind of create a dialogue about the changes that happen over time on the Battle for Azeroth Alpha, especially for Blood Death Knights. I think that's one of the most important things anybody could do once the game's officially live. We could look back and really get some key insight into the developmental process, what I'm trying to say there. So we're going to be talking about mostly two topics today. First thing is going to be about things that we lost, things we gained. All right, so kind of like spells and things, especially from the artifacts. And then we're going to talk about talents. Very little has changed currently. So a TLDR here, guys. If I had to summarize this entire topic in one sentence, I would say it's basically the exact same. People come into stream all the time and say, "How do you like Blood Death Knight in the Battle for Azeroth Alpha?" And I say, I like it in Legion, so I'm going to like it in the Alpha too, because it's basically the exact same. There's almost no differences whatsoever, and I expect that to change, of course. That is not going to stay that way. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it will. I think they really learned a lot about class design in Legion. They really did some big 180s, especially on Blood DK, coming out of Warlords of Draenor. So, yeah, maybe this time we're finally all set. Maybe we got what we got. But anyway, the biggest changes that you're going to see on this class is going to come from the lack of the artifact. In my opinion, it is the strongest, both artifacts and legendaries, the strongest of any tank. But the artifact especially has some of the most impactful traits across any tank, if you ask me. Things like Umbilicus Eternus, no longer in the game. That's a really big deal for 5-mans. Things like you're not going to get the third rune weapon when you use Dancing Rune Weapon. And you're not going to get the longer rune weapon with the Dance of Darkness trait. So the longer rune weapon doesn't really, I mean, it's a nice thing to have, obviously, on live, but not the end of the world in Alpha. But the third rune weapon does make up a big deal. And you're also not going to have the trait that gives you extra, you're not going to have the Marrow Rend trait, right? So, of course, Marrow Rend is now only going to give 3 ever at any one point in time. And because you have only 2 Dancing Rune weapons, that means you're going to have to actually waste 2 runes. Well, you're wasting 1 rune, but you know, to get 10 immediately as soon as you use Dancing Rune weapon, you're going to have to use Marrow Rend twice. Now, I don't know if that's going to be an important thing anymore. I don't know. We're going to have to figure that out. Like currently on live, Dancing Rune weapon, press Marrow Rend, you have 10 stacks, you're all set for a good, 25 seconds pretty much. So yeah, that's going to be a big deal. I think that is definitely going to be one of the biggest nerfs to Blood DK. And obviously the health, the stuff that you get from the traits on the artifact as well, all that health stuff is going to be gone. Vamp Blood's massive health increase that you're going to get from all those traits, gone. Vamp Blood is in still really good shape. I think it's still the strongest CD in the game. Unfortunately, it's no longer modified properly by Red Thirst. We'll talk about that. Mostly a bug on the Alpha, but Red Thirst has changed as well. But anyway, other things we lost, let's see. I mean, there's really not much. Like I said, almost nothing changed. It's just anything that's on the artifact is going to be a really big loss. I think the legendaries are going to be a really big loss too for Blood DK. I think some of them are extremely impactful. Like the shoulders and the chest, I think are some of the strongest legendaries in the game. But they don't, they're not going to be at 120 anyway, so it's like not even really anything to worry about. It's not really designed, and I assume the new Azerite armor and stuff will make up for that. So, some things we did gain though. I want to talk about this. Death's Advance, first thing. For 10 seconds, you cannot be slowed below 100% of normal movement speed. You resist forced movement effects by 80%, and you are immune to external knockbacks. Passive, you cannot be slowed below 70% of normal speed. Now, this is a really cool addition. This used to be in the game in WoD. Instead of Wraithwalk, Wraithwalk was not in the game in WoD. That was added in Legion. So pretty much this was our speed buff. It actually increased our speed by, I think, like 25% or something. I don't know. I think it might have been you cannot be slowed below 120% of normal speed or something. I'm not really sure, but I remember it being some kind of speed buff. Now, it's only a 30-second CD. But really, I don't really know where this is going to come into play. Like, it's going to be good if there's a lot of things in dungeons that slow you, or I guess knock you back. I've yet to come into a situation in 5-mans where this has been useful. So I don't know, but I guess Drizzerin in Darkheart Thicket, this would work for. I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna have to test that more. I think it's a really good addition, but I'm not actually sure why it's in the game. And then Thoughtseize steals a beneficial magic effect from the target. This effect lasts a minimum or a maximum of 2 minutes. Activating the spell will transfer the effect to an allied target. Now, it says it uses 1 rune, but it also says it's not yet implemented. Unless that's New York Institute. NY. Oh, maybe it is. Because it's definitely implemented. It works. I've actually done multiple dungeons. So far, the big concern I have with it is that there's pretty much nothing you can steal. But the things that you can steal are really, really good. So there's one in Tol Gador or Gador, how you ever say it? I don't know. Dagor, I don't know. It's a prison dungeon. There's these little Sorok-like mobs, and they put this water shield on them. It's like a giant water bubble, and it reduces the damage they take by 75% and absorbs some damage. So stealing that, a 75% reduction from a mob, I would say that's pretty good for 1 rune, right? I'd say that's pretty good, especially because you're stealing it from them, too. You're not just getting it yourself like you might with Dark Sim. Like with the old days with Dark Sim, you'd have to take the damage from the ability too, and then you could copy it. But this is kind of, you're taking it from them. Now, of course, you're not really ever going to be taking anything hugely damaging, but I think there are going to be some interesting ones, because the other one that I've taken is from the Troll Dungeon. Not even going to try. The Golden City Troll Dungeon, whatever that one is. The one boss there, she's like an actual like female troll. She buffs herself, some kind of like golden claws or something like that. I don't know. She buffs herself, and you could just steal it immediately. And she does it constantly. It's like it's like a mechanic on the fight. You're meant to either interrupt it or I guess you can spell steal it. So, yeah, taking that as a Blood Death Knight, it increases your melee damage by like 15% or something like that. So it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, how good is that? So those are the only 2 things I've been able to steal so far. I may have missed one, realistically, but I don't think I did, so that's a bit worrying. Maybe in Freehold I missed one, because I actually only did that dungeon once, and I had a lot of problems with the UI and stuff in there, so I might have to try that one again and see if there's anything. But yeah, anyway, somebody's posing for a picture here. So yeah, Thoughtseize obviously is a pretty great addition to Blood Death Knights. I think it's arguably the coolest thing we could have gotten. I mean, I would have liked to just get Dark Sim back, right? But I think this one's way more balanced, and even though it says it's New York Institute, it is currently working on the alpha, and I'm really excited to see it. I don't think there's really anything else. Anti-magic shell, here's something I want to talk about. At some point, I could have sworn, now, so the way I've been doing the alpha like over time is I've basically just been kind of like protecting myself from it. I wanted to come in here and learn everything myself, so I don't get biased about, I don't listen to some idiot talk about something that is completely retarded. So I've tried to insulate myself from that, and I think I did a good job on that. But because of that, I've missed a couple builds that may have changed things that I'm not aware of. So I was almost certain that this did not do this anymore. It's still an absorb. It still works exactly like it does in Legion. And I could have swore it was just a reduction at some point. I could have swore people were saying it's no longer an absorb, and it's no longer going to prevent application of harmful magical effects. That's the main reason you have AMS, right? Like, if it was just a damage reduction, it would be really boring. But if it still works like it does, I mean, maybe it won't again in the future, but yeah, one way or the other, it does appear to still work the way it does on live, and that is really good. I don't think there's really anything else in the actual spellbook, right? Not really. So anyway, some other things that happened are going to all be in the talents, so we'll talk about the talents now. Now, there's a couple weird things that's happened with the talent tree. You'll immediately notice, presumably, that these 2 have been switched places. Places of these have been switched, Bloodworms and Heartbreaker. Although it's kind of like a bait. It's like they've not changed. Like, I read them, they're identical to how they are on live. They have not changed. Let's put it that way. So I don't know why they were switched. Same with the 58 tier, Blood Tap and Anti-Magic Barrier have been switched. And again, I have absolutely no idea why. The only thing I could think of is that there's going to be more items like the Legendary Ring, where it's going to be using an extra, you're going to get an extra talent. I actually think that would probably be one of the smartest things they could do. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that, and that could make a lot of sense why they've switched things in certain places. Maybe it'll have to do with the row or the column instead of the row. I'm not sure. But anyway, the other thing that you're going to notice here is Spectral Deflection is also New York Institute. And that does not mean anything to me right now because it doesn't, again, has not changed. So I'm not exactly sure why it says that. I really have no idea. But, and then the only really thing that we have to talk about here is Red Thirst. Spending runic power will decrease your remaining cooldown on vampiric blood by 1 second per 10 runic power. Now that is obviously a very big nerf, okay? Currently on live, it's 1 second per 6 runic power. If you've ever, if you played in the beginning of Legion, you would remember that it was originally 2 seconds per 10 runic power. Then they nerfed it to 1 per 6, and that actually felt like a really, that felt more realistic, right? If it was 2 per 10 and we have the haste that we have now on live, you would literally have Vamp Blood up every global, pretty much. It would never fall off between that and Umbilicus. So now with Umbilicus's removal and this nerf, we got hit really hard, I have to tell you. So if I was to say, you know, one dramatic change on the battle for Azeroth Alpha, it's the combination of losing Umbilicus Eternus, the extra situation, you know, the extra healing that you would get, and extra, like, all that from Vamp Blood's trait. And I think what's it called, like Vampiric Fangs or something like that. And then, of course, the Red Thirst nerf. Plus, you know, obviously we're going to have very low haste while we're leveling. We're going to reset haste. So, yeah, Blood DK, if you're playing it in patch 8.0, man, when this game launches, 8.1 or 8.01 or whatever, yeah, you're going to get nerfed, man. It's definitely going to be a massive nerf. And this is something a lot of tanks aren't going to have to deal with. Like other, maybe like Prop Paladin, maybe even Vengeance. Like, obviously, aside from mechanical changes, the stats really, really affect Blood Death Knight. Like, unbelievably important for Blood Death Knight. So, I don't know. I guess we're gonna see how it plays out. I'm still in love with it. I love the way it plays. Death Grip and AoE Death Grip are the same. No problems there. Pretty much every other interaction that Blood DK has is still there. I think they're still gonna do a lot of damage based on the logs that I have. I've been doing some logging while we've been here. You can actually upload the logs to Warcraft Logs. You can't do a live log, but you can actually upload to Warcraft Logs, and it shows you the, you know, everything you'd want to see on there, and it works great. So I've been able to see, I'm doing, like, right now the average for me is about 1k DPS, which is crazy coming off doing 1 million. It's basically just, you know, that type of factorial decrease. But of course I'm significantly weaker than I would be my real character. So I think I'd probably drop down to about 10k on my actual character. If I did 1 million single target, I'd probably do 10k instead. So I think that's a lot more realistic. 10 factorial reduction, you know. But anyway, yeah, that's where you're going to get out of the stat squish. The stat squish hasn't really impacted us in any other way. This is such a gorgeous expansion, man. I can't see myself not loving it. So, of course, with very little Blood Death Knight changes, I think I would advocate anybody to play it. Obviously, things will probably change. I currently only have 21% haste. That could be a big deal. But, of course, I mean, we're wearing gear. Just for reference, 280 is now the legendary eye level. The next starts at 269, which I'm kind of confused by, but so, and then they give you like 185 gear. I've gotten some from 5-mans, but yeah, anything that I got when I started this character was 185, which effectively is, just take a quick look at the Legion stuff. So Antorus is actually, let's see, Mythic, yeah. So like, yeah, here's the relic that I would want from Antorus Mythic. High Command, it's 240 Mythic, right? So yeah, we're going to be about, I don't know, man, like probably like 250 item level, 255 item level, depending on what happens here. It might be like closer to 260 when we finally get our actual characters over here. So I'd expect that to really make up the difference. I mean, I'm 231 now, and I've gotten 265 gear. So this is from the first dungeon. 265 is seemingly the item level that you're going to get when you're 110 from these dungeons. Don't forget, everything scales now, so it's going to go up every time you level. I've yet to get anything since I've been leveled. Yeah, it's all been 265, hasn't it? That's weird. Maybe it doesn't scale up currently, but anyway, that's way better than Mythic. Way better. 25 item levels better than Mythic and Taurus. So that that's a weird thing. Wouldn't you say 25 item levels better than Antorus Mythic? That's kind of surprising. It makes me think that there might actually still be something coming with Legion, but one way or the other, yeah, obviously you're going to lose a ton of stats, and the stat squish won't really change that. It'll just be all percentage stuff. So, I don't know. That's that. Once again, I am very, very satisfied with Blood Death Knight. I haven't found anything that I dislike. So, I don't know. I'm on board. Let's put it that way. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Anything I missed, please do let me know. What the plans for these are going to be, I'm going to try to, anytime there's a major change to Blood, I'm going to just remake this video, basically. I won't do it in the long form, like 15 minutes, but we'll try to make like 5-minute additions if anything comes up. We'll talk about specific changes from now on. So, yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy that. If you have any questions, let me know. Once again, if you have anything to add, definitely do so. Make sure you're doing that. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.